Hey YouTube, welcome back to the channel. We have received a new ban list in the form of OPO3 Marco being hit to 1, Nami being banned, Whitebeard Leader being banned, and Curly being banned. So with the ban of Curly and Nami, Law loses a lot of their searchers. So those that do play Law will have a lot harder of a time filling up their board and just having the consistency that they need. Zoro has lost Curly, so they lose a lot of the consistency, and they lost 3 Marco, so staying on board has become harder for the deck. So with those bans, we are expecting a lot less red decks, and we expect the format to be a lot slower in the form of Katakuri and Green Purple Delphi being some of the top decks. Additionally, we're also expecting Nami to be one of the top decks. And today's video, I just wanted to put the spotlight on a card that I think can single-handedly defeat the Nami deck. A card that I don't think many people know about. So this is the traditional Nami list, card for card. This is the list that tops. There's no other list at the moment that differs from this. And the list plays 32 events and 18 characters. So this is very important for the card that we're going to be talking about. So first I want to talk about the previous options that you had against Nami. This video is mainly tailored to blue decks because the spotlight, the card that the spotlight is for, is a blue card. So before we had Dragon Twister, we would play this into the red decks. And if we played against a Nami, it would sometimes be a card that can bottom deck their 1-drops. I say sometimes because the Nami character has to swing, and they often do not swing. Next, we have Ulti. Ulti was a card that if you played it on curve against a Nami list, then you could be in a really, really great spot. The only problem with Ulti is that it's a 3-drop, and it's on attack. So Nami has options against that in the form of Breakfast and Zev, so you can just keep bouncing back the card, and then you have to replay it the next turn and then wait a turn to swing. So it's just a very slow card. But a card I think that no one has really tested or played is Arlong. So this card single-handedly defeats any Nami player if you can play it onto the board and keep it there. So Arlong's effect, so this is the OPO1 card, and its effect is Dawn X1, activate main. You may rest this character, place 1 card from your opponent's hand and reveal it. If the revealed card is an event, place 1 of their life cards on the bottom of the owner's deck. So the reason this card is so impactful is because, number 1, Nami doesn't play any removal. The only real removal they have is Zev to bounce a card and Breakfast to bounce a card. While Breakfast could bounce Arlong, Arlong is an activate main, so if they bounced it, you can just replay next turn and use the effect again. Also, the reason that Arlong is so strong into Nami is because they play so many events. So the chances of you hitting an event are very, very high, especially since when it comes to Buggy and Mr. 1, these are cards that grab other events. The Nami player has to play these onto the board to get value. So they would either A, have to start keeping cards in their hand that they don't want to keep in the form of Mr. 5 and Buggy just to have a higher probability. But even then, they only play 18 characters and 32 events. So you'll still have a high likelihood if you force them into that uncomfortable situation. Also, the only way for Nami to remove Arlong is to just swing into it. So if you play blockers in the form of Doflamingo or the Law blocker, or if you just play events, you can easily protect this card. Once you have this against your blue deck, nothing else really matters. You just have to protect the Arlong, and then you can just easily win the game. You can tech just 1 copy if you're afraid of Nami, just because you have cards like Doflamingo to look at top 5 and then bottom deck. And then if you're playing the blue Doflamingo leader, then you also play a card like Perona. And I've even seen some Queen lists play Perona. So you can just look at top 5, Arlong's not there, and then put it to the bottom. The reason this is important is because previously a lot of blue decks had an issue with Nami because just the way blue is designed, blue tends to be more tempo and more of a slower deck. So Nami would just have a really easy time against other blue decks. Additionally, if the deck becomes very popular and there's Nami mirrors, then this is the card that can help you in the Nami mirror match. Just because the way Nami works is they just have a lot of events to protect your character. So if you can just play the Arlong, then if you play this in the mirror first and you can just protect it, then you won the game. Additionally, Arlong is just a 1k against every other matchup, and another deck that we're expecting to be popular is the green-purple Dofi deck. So while in this deck, it's not as strong as in the Nami list, they still play 12 events. This is one of the most common lists, well, as far as the events go. So the events typically do change. Some decks play 4 Pungifson and then 4 Thunder Bagua, and then they don't play Hell's Judgment and then the film event. But typically the number of events does stay around 12. So even in this matchup, there are times where the Arlong could be something impactful. Obviously, it's really just for the Nami deck, against the Nami deck, but it is a card that typically blue doesn't have rush, except with Usopp, which just isn't a good card because it's not well statted. So having the option to sometimes, if you're in a tough position, just take an additional life off your opponent's total and then go for game is something that could come up, and it is unlikely, but it is an option for a card that you're mainly putting in your deck for Nami. But yeah, that's the video. I really just wanted to put the spotlight on Arlong. I think this card can increase in popularity if Nami becomes more popular. This is the card that I played in my blue-purple Croc list because I was afraid of Nami, because I was playing a control blue-purple Croc and Nami would have been an auto loss. So this was a card that I put in, and over the online regional, I actually did play against a Nami, and I saw this early, and I immediately won the game. All I did was protect the Arlong, and I put 5 cards from their life back into their deck, and they lost 5 potential triggers. So definitely check this card out. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you stayed this long, please consider like, commenting, and subscribing. Have a great day.